Yeah.
Hello and welcome to a very special / unique episode. Nah, it's not an episode. Vignette
Special.
of Holding Action,
It's the Christmas special.
the show where the chaos and combat is controlled by the rules of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Which means if your rolls suck, it's gonna go real well.
We are picking up from our last session a mere 2 days ago, where the group got into a very deep tangle with a very powerful enemy. We are now isolated, just me and Skadi. And this is in effect to follow up on how that session ended. If you have not already, do catch up on the episode 26, Armed and Dangerous, before going any further, as this will be heavily spoiled if you are investing in the campaign, and I would hate for you to have this be the moment that you tune in on. We will be restricting viewership to this just to our existing supporters. That is not to deny it to anyone in general, as much as this is sort of a deeper glimpse, me trying to figure out where we're going to take the campaign from what happened last week, and we just determined it would be better to actually do it. So, with that being the case, after the fight took place, Hara and Sproigins had fallen unconscious. Skadi was on her last death saving throw and was thrown almost 150 feet from the place where she was knocked unconscious. Walker, low on health, being probably one of the group's last resources for healing, was ready to fight on to the bitter end. And Rectus, acting under unique information that the group did not have or was not aware of, opted to pursue a different avenue. And using the very last spells he had at his disposal, was going to take at least a portion of the group to an undisclosed location that was on a separate plane. The dice determined that only one person was taken. That person was Skadi. And now, in what can only be presumed to be at least one of the layers of the Hells, Skadi ended up being bound, confined, verbally suppressed, and isolated to a dark room. She was kept in there for several moments before another figure entered and introduced himself as Lyvus. I don't have his full name memorized right off the top of my head or the exact deets there, but Lyvus is the brother to Hara, the group's tiefling rogue. He is a motivator for an army, or for a division of the demon army referred to as the Chain. They are something of a special and elite sort of demonic deployment, and the motivators sort of specialize in motivating people to comply or to talk or to put themselves in the proper avenue of cooperation. That can't be right. Oh, yeah, it is actually. It's Lyvus Cruti Blanchanti. Now, Skadi and Lyvus find themselves isolated in a room.
Romantic.
And that is where we are going to pick up. So, you now see a figure with the scraggly gray hair, almost in a monk's ring, around his head, with a bald, liver-spotted top of this pliable, greenish, kind of brownish skin, twisted features, and loose, droopy skin in odd places that makes him look like this kind of muck monster almost, but with angular, sharp features. He is wearing what appears to be a very simple sort of sackcloth type of robe. Appears to be secured with some kind of belt, though it's difficult to make out any details of a lot of the finer points, given the low lighting conditions and your lack of dark vision. You find your hands secured, not just physically, but it seems as if there are spikes inverted within the clamps around your legs, arms, where continuing to resist even hurts. And then in addition to that, you have a glass chess piece, you could almost say, that seems to have affixed itself to you, seemingly cutting out your ability to verbalize. So, you find yourself pinned to a wall, restricted, silenced, and standing in front of Hera's demonic sibling, the Motivator, who you have only heard about and whose work you've only seen through what appears to be something rather extensive involving Lyvus. So, what happens next?
What do you want?
So, as you move your lips, no sound comes out. So now that we've gotten introductions out of the way, this is just my favorite part. I get to ask a question, and then you get to answer it. And if you play the game, you live. It's really simple, but I think you'll find it quite enjoyable. And from behind him, it seems, he pulls out from his waistband a long, thin, slender, almost looks to be of like a brilliant silver, like a polished, precious metal. Not like a crude steel or even a finely refined type of weaponized metal. This is something unique. And it appears to taper into an extremely fine point. The implement itself is probably only about 8 or so inches long. The end of it may be only about 1 inch around, and it looks like just the most stretched out oblong cone shape, disappearing into a nothingness of a fine point. Okay. Are you ready to play? Okay, good. Do you understand the rules? Excellent. Okay. I would like to start. Confirm for me, if you would, all of the names of the people in your party.
You already know that.
So you still find yourself unable to speak. Or able to speak, but no sound comes out. And as he sees this, he gets closer. I'm sorry, again? Not a talker, that's fine. And you see him now put it directly, the point of this cone, next to your hip bone, on the inside portion of your abdomen there. Are you sure? Oh, well. That's fine. I like this part of the game too. And he starts pushing the needle in, and at first you almost don't feel anything And you can kind of feel this shift within, but as it gets deeper and the cone itself gets wider and wider, there's a trailing sense of pain and sensation that doesn't even catch up to the deepest point until it's been in for a few seconds. For the purposes of this and the transitional way that you arrived in this room, we're going to say that you're starting with 10 hit points.
Okay.
And as he pushes it in, he kind of has a little bit of a startled excitement about him. You find it excruciating and painful. And as your voice bites your mouth bites your own lip to try and prevent any sound from coming out before it's forced to, and nothing still emerges. Now, the names of the people in your party. Yes, I know that you are in the party, of course, and we will, of course, get to know each other so much better. But the names of the other people in your party. No? Disappointing. Not so much, but disappointing nonetheless. And he begins on the other hip now, pushing a separate spike in. Each push taking 1 point of health.
So I'm down 2?
Down to 8.
Okay.
Now, I really would prefer to just have this be a more delicate process. I don't particularly enjoy, well, portions of this. It's tedious, do you understand? I think if you were to tell me the names, then we could just move on. We could carry on, we could finish the game, and then you could just be on your way. Perhaps maybe you would be interested in participating more, yes?
I can't speak.
Pulls out another one of his spikes. We had a friend of yours here recently. He wasn't much of a talker either. Not a great game player. Disappointing, really. Well, if you don't want to talk. And you see him now bend down towards the ground as you stand there. And you start to feel an extremely sharp pain in your lower leg. And as you are pinned in place and held, you're able to look down just for a moment as you see one of the needles now protruding through your Achilles tendon and sucked up into the lower portion of your calf, almost driven in like a railroad spike at an upside down angle. You're going to take another point of damage for that. You see, if I take off these protections, you'll start to get ideas, and then when you get ideas, I have to react to them. And really, I take pride in my work, you see. Do you understand? You and your party, your merry band of heroes, you're like ants. Not in that you are weak. Not in that you are small. In that a single rainstorm washes away everything. You build these great mountains of cities, you see. You build them up, you build them up, you build them up. And the storm comes and washes it away. And you don't understand. You don't get it. You would declare war on the sky. As if that is a battle you even know how to begin to fight. And Anne simply knows no better. And when the sun comes back out, they gather all the little grains of the broken city and they put them back together again. So much ego in you. This too will be cleansed in fire and burned away. But until then, it is just us. Now, the names of the people in your party. And he reaches forward and he peels back the glass almost like it's a sheet of plastic that kind of bends and snaps down onto itself.
I know you already know who's in my party.
That seems like a lot of letters for a single name. Are you sure you don't want to play?
Who do you think's in the party?
Excellent. And he snaps it, and the glass solidifies and kind of rocks you back into place a little bit. I do somewhat enjoy this part. And you see him move directly towards your face, and right at the apex of your collarbone, he puts the point on the soft tissue of your neck, and you kind of feel it push back at the skin before it pierces. The questions only get harder if you can't answer the simple ones. I don't know how much further we have to go. And he begins pushing the needle into you. That's going to be 2 points of damage. And you find it piercing your throat, working towards the back of your neck, and even tickling the nerve endings through your spine as sensations of pain race throughout your body. It is some of the singly most uniquely painful experience you've ever had. And all the while he has this side grin, as well as a look of a determined artisan, both focus and pleasure, just kind of slowly pushing it back, staring at you very closely and intently as he does it. He pulls it back out, takes something out of the other side of his rope, and begins to rub something on you. The sensation is unusual. You feel it has a healing effect, but it also gets warm. And after just a couple moments, him sort of staring, waiting to ensure that it has taken effect, it continues to get hotter and hotter and hotter, for you especially. Eventually, you actually see some of the skin on the bottom portion of your face almost pulsating, as if your body is covered in burns. You feel your heartbeat move to your face that has now drastically accelerated. You also find yourself panicking a little bit. Pain by itself, not particularly problematic, whereas this is almost a sensation of your body being consumed to a certain extent. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, and you'll take an additional 2 points of damage.
13. It's literally one of the worst rolls I could have gotten.
Yep. So, at this point in time, and I'm going to let you determine what this means. But you, not just in the sense that he himself is twisted and scary, but you are becoming scared for yourself. He again peels back the top portion of this glass, and in his hand it kind of molds like a translucent clay again. Now, there's really only so many different ways we can go, and I am normally a fan of fire, something of a signature, you understand? But with you, I feel almost that taps in too closely to something that you are weak to. I don't want to abuse your weaknesses. That is really not a favorite activity of mine. I prefer to make new ones. The names of the people in your party.
Out of fear, and I'm sure Skidi's starting to tear up out of fear and whatnot. Just thinking out loud from Skidi's perspective. He knows Hara's in the group. Rectus knows the four of us are in the group. So I think she would say, you know your sister.
Okay.
Kadir.
Kadir.
King of the Gloryfell. Sproigins.
Yes. And the glass goes back up. You're doing so well. You're doing so well. Round 1 down. Congratulations. But I have faith in you yet for round 2. You'll excuse me. And you see him turn and walk out of the doorway, black silhouette dancing off the very limited candlelight. And from the hallway, probably after only 10 or so seconds, it seems, of foot travel, you hear Lyvus. She's ready, please prepare her. And you hear these clawing, scratching, sort of floppy footsteps. And these tiny, silhouetted, jackalish, sort of like creatures. Difficult to tell, but the light reflects off of just a little bit of red skin. And they begin climbing all over you. And you feel claws dig in, and a number of arms grabbing and pushing and ripping you in different directions, sort of jostling you against the painful cuffs and restraints that you're experiencing. You feel all of a sudden your armor is being pulled off, ripped away, your clothing, everything else now just covered under this glass sheet, your body confined, everything else removed from you. And as the scampering kind of finds its way out towards the door, you see a creature crawling on the wall up towards the lantern.
Can you be more specific on what? My clothing is still on, but can you be more specific on what they took?
No, you were stripped.
Okay.
You've been stripped down completely.
Okay.
And you see one of these creatures climb the wall. slowly coming into view from the dim light in the circle around the lantern, and it's this green, red, almost goblinoid type creature with a very sort of wide oblong head, extremely large fangs, and these sort of slanted yellow eyes that seem to have these sort of snake-like lenses on them, with thin skeletal bodies climbing up, and it looks back at you while you're secured to the thing.
I'm actually not going to focus on that. I'm going to put all of my effort in trying to listen to where they are going with my stuff.
Okay. So as it looks back at you, then you see him, and he blows out the light. Blackness fills the room, and you hear the last one scamper out. Go ahead and make a perception check. I'm going to say a disadvantage on this.
Could be worse. 19. Disadvantage?
Yes.
Yeah, 19.
Okay. Okay. Now, you're dealing with what appear to be stone walls and secured rooms, and something that's not only purposefully designed to be difficult to navigate, but also specifically designed to sort of maintain and control and lock people in.
Mm-hmm.
Hara's talked about some of the demon prisons, talked about some of the mechanics involved there. And you know that she was caught several times trying to let people out. You know that she was unsuccessful a number of those times, and the time that she was certainly most successful is when her and Reese escaped to the material plane. That being the case, the sound bounces and echoes off of a number of walls and gyrates throughout the hallways, and it's difficult to filter out the exact path or whatever the case might be, especially since these are small items, mostly garment-based. But you do hear kind of the kicking tink of what sounds to be either some of the brambles from your armor, some of their sharper edges from the thorns, as well as maybe a small kind of cry out from one of the creatures mishandling that armor. The noise of the necklace kicking across the ground, perhaps, as they're being all dragged away in a hurry. You think you have a good idea of the general direction, but short of a couple turns, it's difficult to track exactly. You're left there then in darkness for another 10 or so minutes. I'll give you an opportunity to do anything if you'd like to try.
I want to try and get as much rest in as I possibly can.
Okay. So after about 10 minutes then, Lyvus comes back in. Silly playthings. Lights the lantern again. I have brought a special present for you. It's really something to signify the start of the official game. The first round is really more of a warm-up to get you used to the rules, you see. But now that I know you have what it takes to play, then we can play. I'm excited. This should be good. And he disappears outside the room, and you hear the high-pitched, tinging rumble of dragged metal. And he comes in brandishing what appears to be a long, black rod with twisted framework at the end of it. Now, are you ready to play? Good. You should know that this isn't really part of the game. It's really more for me. When you see him conjure a flame in his hand, focusing it on the edge, and immediately you then sort of recognize the glow. The letters backwards to you do not make any sense, and they're written in a language that you're not familiar with. but you can see that they're sort of designated as characters.
Now, do try to hold still. We have to do it again.
And a red-hot brand is pushed towards you, directly into the side of your neck. He holds it there, unable to help but scream. You still hear nothing but the sizzle of flesh as the brand cuts deep in to the point where you have the thick, irony smell of blood boiling cut through the searing of flesh and burning meat. It's going to take you down to 0. And I'll need you to make a death saving throw. Okay.
Got a 9.
It's a failure. So, him close up to your face, pushing the brand into your neck, is the last thing you see through gritted teeth and strained eyes before the dim light, the limited amount of light you see, goes to black and you fade. Everybody doing okay?
Yeah?
As you slip into the blackness, thoughts of your party, your family, your hometown, the people who live there, Lyvus, the people who have been in and out of trials and troubles, fade from vision as the blackness gives way to a tiny, dull glow. The glow itself continues to expand and open and emerge until you recognize your vision focuses and you're staring at the lantern on the wall again. And Lyvus has 2 sort of fingers, slimy and sick, on your forehead, holding your head back.
There she is. Welcome back. You can't leave the game early. You have to play from beginning to end. Those are the rules. I didn't tell you all the rules, and there are more to come, but that's a rule.
Pulls his hand back. You have 11 hit points.
How long was I out?
You have no idea.
Okay.
I think, in some kind of mortal sense, you quibbling little things, you might find hope. Hope is a powerful thing for your people. It's cute, I think is the right word. Your friends now work to move towards you, to rescue you. I hope they succeed. That would make me very happy. Very, very happy. Of course, they have to build their anthill again and take their rest so they can go about building another anthill to declare war on the sky. That is not cute. It's pathetic and disgusts me. But I do hope they find you. I do. I very much do.
I want to try as best I can, have an outward appearance of being disassociated and hopeless, I guess.
Make a performance check.
None of y'all have been working for me the past. All of this. Natural fucking 20. Also, just for clear, when Jackie watches this, it was the fucking friendship dice.
Do pay attention. This is just the beginning of the game. You can't ruin the game so early.
They won't find me.
What to do. How do you get someone to play when they don't want to play with you?
I'm here to play with you. I just don't think they'll find me.
You can't talk.
I'm trying to whisper. Is it silenced or is my voice box doesn't work?
Your voice box seems to work. You're making zero noise.
Got it. I'm gonna try and communicate with him.
Okay. He seems to be working through some kind of mental reaction.
Okay.
And he pokes your forehead and pushes your head back against the wall kind of roughly.
Are my wrists like able to?
No, you're...
Completely.
Yeah, you're
okay.
Locked down.
Yes. Lyvus, you have to think. You have to think like them, like ants. Ants. You declare war on the sky. You need soldiers. They would build ladders and platforms to climb to the clouds, only to fall. Yes. Excellent. Oh, well, I want you to play. Good.
You see him fold back the glass sheet and it turns to this translucent plastic again.
Now, you know the rules. A question. An answer. That's the whole game. So you understand?
I understand.
Good. Sproigins, tell us.
I'm the least close with him, but yeah.
Well, that gives you an advantage this round. Where is his mother?
I don't know.
Oh,
I really
said
don't.
You wanted to play. You said you wanted to play.
Last I knew, she was in Crindon.
She is not in Crindon. Nobody is in Crindon.
That's the last I heard.
I see you like to play games too.
I was just in the Fae. I don't know what's going on here. But last I knew, she was in Crindon.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check for me.
21.
Maybe in different ways, parting paths. It's fine. That's fine. You can still earn extra points. My dear sister Hara. She has a friend, and we would like to know how we can bring that friend home. You see, he lived with us here, And now he's trapped. We need to bring him back, and it would mean a great deal to all of us if you could tell us where her friend Reese is.
I don't know. I've never seen him before.
Where is he?
I don't know. I have never met him. You can... I can't move. You can try and read my thought. I don't know where he is. I'm not hiding anything from you.
Make a deception check.
Natural 20.
It seems as if you are devoid of any useful information almost. How disappointing. No matter. You earn no points this round.
But I'm being honest with you.
Well, there are still wrong answers.
And the sheet of glass goes up.
Now, don't lose focus. Round 3 is where things really get exciting. I'll be right back.
And in this sort of excited, presentory swoop, you see him leave out the door again, disappear. Without giving you a time window this time specifically, I'll say if you'd like to try anything now.
I think I still want to try and just still my mind.
Okay, make a concentration check for me. The environment and circumstances you find yourself in is menacing. Your body still is racked with pain. Every movement, every fidget causing more. Unfortunately, you're not able to steel your nerve in the way that you would have liked. After probably a little bit closer to maybe 30 minutes, an hour, 2, it's difficult to say, but an amount of time you're familiar with.
2 hours and I only get one try to calm down?
You don't know how long it is. You just know it's not 10 minutes and you know it's not 5 hours, but between that, it's the same source of light. You don't know where you are.
I am an outlander, though.
That is true. In any event, Lyvus comes back.
Now, are you ready for round 3?
And he kind of peeks his head in, hands around the corner, and then his hands continue to crawl around as he pulls himself in.
Exciting, so exciting. This is always my favorite part. This is always my favorite part. Your friend, he did not like this part. He did not like this part one bit. And he didn't play. 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 But you're going to play, right? You're going to play. You're going to play. Yes, excellent. Now,
Folds the glass sheet back.
okay. Round 3. You are going to tell me every detail about your mission. Go.
We've been told to gather magical items.
Every detail, every detail.
For King Arathan.
Okay. Go on.
He brought us together to collect the magical items to save Neverwinter.
What items? Items. Specific details. Details. Every detail I told you.
I think they're magical items called pillars.
And you see him throw the glass sheet up.
I should also give you some insight into my work, because it seems there is some confusion maybe. First of all, I take a great deal of pride in my work. I think you've already recognized that. Some have said I am an artisan, others an artist. I do not subscribe to such trivial labels. But if I had to call myself anything, it would be a visionary in the pain arts. And do you know, a body like yours, do you know how many ways there are to hurt it? Oh, I doubt that you do. But I do. And do you know what? That is not. That is crude. That is unrefined. That is not how you gain the label of Motivator. True pain is caused by the mind. And on that note, this work certainly works up a bit of an appetite. I am famished. I wonder.
And you see him reach inside his robe and from within pulls out the necklace.
I have favored a number of creatures in my time. Have you ever thought about what your little dog tastes like?
That was hope kicking in.
You haven't. Odd. I think about what it would be like to eat a lot of things. Isn't it?
I'm gonna be squirming a little bit, not on purpose.
Not on purpose?
Well, I think Skadi's trying to very much be resolute and whatnot and give what she wants to give, but I feel like she would not be able to completely sit still when he's threatening it.
Okay, as you gyrate against your chains and restraints, you'll take another point of damage. As the arcane needle points dig into your skin.
Now, Skadi. It is Skadi, right? I want us to be friends, so as a matter of respect, I want to address you by your preferred title. Now, I want you to listen closely, because round 3 only consists of the one question.
What is the room I'm in made out of?
It appears to be. Go ahead and make a investigation check, we'll say.
That's straight for me. It is 14.
Okay. Appears to be stone. The groundwork appears to be some kind of slated stone. You're not really able to make out specifics, maybe, but you are getting the definitive sense that most of this was either part of some subterranean, kind of mountainous, volcanic-ish type structure, and these rooms in this location, or this overall area from what you can see into the hallway and the room around you, seems to primarily be based, or almost as if it was like kind of carved out of the whatever resident structure. The geological formation is now just devoid these holes that were used to, or made to create rooms.
Is my back up against the wall? Am I touching the floor?
You are touching the floor. Your feet are on the floor. Your body is secured up to this sort of almost triangular obelisk, like a clothes iron, but made of stone, sort of standing up on its legs.
Okay.
So Lyvus then leans into you.
Now, Skadi, we have an understanding with one another. We can be friends, can we not? Excellent. Now, round 3 is just the one question. And I like you because I see a strength in you, a wisdom that exceeds that of the normal ant. I like that. I do. So, I'm going to give you one more opportunity, and then we are going to try this again. Okay?
You see him now fold away the sheet of glass, the plastic. Then he leans in real close.
Now, Skadi, you're going to tell me what I want to know, or I'm going to eat your pet in front of you. Do you understand me? Tell me you understand.
I understand.
Now, I need you to listen to me. If you do not tell me what I want to know, I am going to burn your pet alive. I'm going to eat him in front of you. And then I'm going to still torture you more. Do you understand me? Now, every detail. Every detail.
I wish I had more information for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the one they trust with things.
Okay, well, they have to trust you with something, and I'm sure you can tell me what it is. Now, go on.
You know, you took my stuff. You noticed they didn't give me a single one of the magical items we're looking for.
Sure. But you know where they are?
I know that we have pillars.
Uh-huh, yes.
I don't know where the last one is. I believe it's on the material plane. And I'm going to watch him very intently, waiting for him to react.
Make a deception check.
$19.
Skadi. It pains me so. It does.
Rectus should have taken one of the others. They would have been able to help you more than me.
Maybe so.
I'm still very intently watching and essentially holding an action for if he lets go of the glass.
What do you mean if he lets go of the glass?
Well, when I can no longer speak.
Mm-hmm.
If he even looks like he's about to let go.
He folded it down. He does not hold it down.
Oh. But he snaps it back up, right?
Yes.
So if he makes a movement towards it, like he's going to snap it back up. I am holding an action.
Well, what are you holding?
A spell?
You are entitled to verbal components only at this point.
Well, I guess it would depend, but I would like to try and meld into stone.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you make the call there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's other things at play.
Mm-hmm.
However, meld into stone requires a somatic component.
Okay.
Five seconds.
Well,
3,
you took away my one thing I was gonna
2,
do.
1. He closes the glass on you again, leans in really close.
I'm going to eat your child now.
And he steps out of the room. Do you want to try and do anything at this point?
I can't do anything until I get a little bit of rest if I am completely bound.
I mean, you can legitimately just try and break your bonds if you want to.
I am not strong, and if I just get the smallest amount of rest in, I think that's my best option.
So you're trying to rest again?
I'm just trying to still my mind for an hour, yes.
For an Oh, for a short rest. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So for the purposes of this, go ahead and make another concentration check for me. Okay. So as you are focusing on trying to rest and relax, you find the environment, conditions, all too hostile. You hear what sound like a number of those floppy small creatures' footsteps skipping in and out of the halls and darting around with unusual activity compared to the previous sets of hours that you've been locked within this room. You continue to wait. Cumulatively, I'm going to say that you do get your short rest because it seems as if it's actually hard to say for sure, but a number of hours before anything happens whatsoever. But what might be sometime in between 1 and 3, give or take, it's hard for you to say. You don't get that signatured sense of rest or peace or relaxation, obviously, as you're still confined in a very tight and uncomfortable circumstance. As you're sitting there, your eyes and ears kind of perk up just a touch as you now hear the cold, sort of wet footsteps heading back in, and you see Lyvus appear in the doorway, silhouetted. Signature as the scraggly hair kind of breaks up some of the shadow that you can barely see behind in the light that's sort of dancing off the broken features of his face as he steps through the entryway.
I am so sorry. So sorry. I did not mean to be so long. That was not my intent. your boy was so big and strong, so resistant. I did not anticipate such a fight. But I was thinking as we were beating him to death.
Can I try and insight that?
Yeah, go ahead.
25.
Okay. Everything he's said thus far sounds accurate.
Do you remember the rules of the game? And how I told you pain in the mind is worse than pain in the body? Do you understand? No? You see, I was thinking about it. And the ants who think themselves more than ants can never bring themselves to acting like the ants they are. Do you understand what I mean? They think themselves above weakness. And that is unique. I don't encounter this often. But I did make a promise. But I thought we would give you maybe just one more chance.
And he folds down the glass sheet.
Come.
And you see these floppy demons kind of roll in this stone and wood like slab to a certain extent.
I did make a promise, Skadi. Did I not?
And as you look on, there's this charred, sort of angular hunk of flesh, looking approximately the size of one of Issa's legs.
I thought, this creature is magnificent. And, as it happens, there's only one of him. But he has 8 more of these. Well, I guess not anymore.
And he reaches down and just digs his sharp nails into the flesh and pulls and rips a fistful of meat.
Do I really think he's eating us?
Make a nature check?
23.
Yes.
Now.
Who's in the room?
2 of the littler gremlin demons, Lyvus and you.
Are you ready to play by the rules, Skadi? Are you ready? Tell me you are ready to play by the rules.
And I'm going to wild shape.
Into what?
An ant.
Okay. Go ahead and make a wisdom check for me.
Just straight wisdom?
Straight wisdom check.
16.
So as you are standing there, Lyvus, within inches of your face, chewing loudly, saliva sort of just falling out of his mouth with extra bits, you go to do your wild shape and you feel an arcane hole dig in through your restraints, recognizing this is a similar component maybe to the barrier placed on top of you for speaking and some kind of arcane block. Focus. Still your mind. Shut out the sound of his chewing. Remove all light from your line of vision. Dial in and focus. Concentrate. And immediately, your form shrinks, disappears.
I want to try and scooch into any tiny little crack in the wall that I can get into.
Okay. Make a investigation check. And then go ahead and make a stealth check for me as well, please.
Investigation, I only got a 10. Stealth, I only got an 8.
Okay.
But I am also an ant. Just throwing that out there. I'm pretty tiny.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, give me one moment. I just want to confirm something. I would hate to get this wrong right now. So immediately, you see Lyvus and the demons. Supposed to pay! And just literally stomping feet all over the place, stopping for a brief moment, and going back to stomping again. I'm going to give him a percentile check here. That's not going to do it on any day of the week. And you find yourself hugging the very wall underneath a slight variation in texture of the brick. And whether it is because you are that small, obscured, and dark vision does not allow for color, they kind of all stop for a moment. Lyvus picks his head up, kind of composes himself, it would seem. We have a contestant for the bonus round. 8 legs is too many for a creature anyway. And my helpers are hungry. And you see him walk and start to turn around.
When he's not facing me?
That's where we're going to end it, actually.
How?
You're out, and we'll make discussions, and if necessary, we'll have some rolls outside of game, but...
Oh, I have so much more planned. I thought that this was going to go much further than this.
It was predicated upon what I needed to know to determine the campaign's next course of action. If that's how you want to do things, we'll do them in-game, or we will do them as rolls outside of game. But I have what I need from a narrative perspective to figure out the demon's plans. You are no longer secured to a stone slab. And whether it be in a unique, separate session that I assume you'll push for, or a series of rolls for the sake of trying to determine the overall results, that is where we're going to leave it till we pick up on Friday.
I felt like I just got where I wanted to be.
And that was exactly what I needed to play up until. Fuck. So hectic. Nothing happened. Everything happened. How you doing, buddy?